3 years after our divorce, my ex-husband showed up again. He said our son missed me and asked if we could give the marriage another shot. At the time, I'd just had my pay docked for a late food delivery. After that deduction, I could barely afford to eat. I didn't hesitate. I decided to go back. I was done struggling. After remarrying, I became the virtuous wife Ethan Williams always wanted. I didn't get jealous, I didn't make scenes. When he brought women home, I even helped clean up the room. I wasn't strict with my son anymore. I let him do whatever he wanted. Clearly, I had become the type of woman everyone desires. Yet one night, Ethan came home drunk and hugged me, crying. He said, "Honey, please don't be like this. It makes me feel sick." Our son also choked up, "Mom, I was wrong. Please don't treat me this way." Ethan sought me out right after I was penalized for not knowing the route, delaying a delivery, and having to pay compensation. I've lost count how many times I had to reimburse someone during my 3 months as a delivery driver. When he appeared in front of me, I was on the verge of tears. I looked up and saw him staring at me, his eyes cold and devoid of warmth. I wiped my face, trying to act normal. "What are you doing here?" Ethan sighed. "I need to talk to you about something." "What is it?" "Our son misses you." My parents also keep saying that the original spouse is always best, so I wanted to ask if you'd consider remarrying me. 3 years ago, when I noticed signs of his infidelity, I moved out without saying a word. This was the first time we'd met since the divorce. Looking at the man in front of me, still handsome, imposing, and successful, I, in my distress, only hesitated for a second before nodding yes. For no other reason, my account had only $431 left, not enough to cover next month's rent. Perhaps I nodded too quickly, as Ethan was slightly surprised. He stared at me for a moment and asked, "Then let's re-register tomorrow. Come home with me now, okay?" He added, "Do you have anything you need to pack?" I shook my head. The rental room contained nothing but items ordered from discount apps, which would only invite ridicule if brought back to the Williams mansion. I walked straight into the car and closed my eyes, my mind 100 knots. To be honest, I never thought Ethan would come back. Since I met him in high school, I was obsessed. When we got engaged in college through arranged family ties, I was always the one actively, passionately pursuing him. Ethan couldn't exactly be called in love with me, but he didn't exactly hate me either. Yet, living together day after day made me harbor illusions. 5 years into the marriage, I discovered he was being intimate with his female secretary. I immediately caused a scene, grabbed his collar, pulled hair, went to his office to smash things, and forced him to fire the secretary. Ethan just coldly held my arms, stopping me from going wild. Then he said, "Summer, look at yourself. What kind of dignity is this? I haven't cheated. I don't do that kind of thing. On the contrary, you are acting like this. You are unworthy of being a Williams daughter-in-law. I spoiled you too much, and this is the result. Go home and think carefully. Do you want to continue this life? If you do, learn to be sensible. If not, we divorce." And at that time, I was truly full of reckless pride. I took his rational words as a provocation. In a fit of impulse, I dragged him to file for divorce the next day. Over the next 3 years, I paid dearly for that decision. I went from a sheltered young woman who never had to lift a finger to someone grinding non-stop just to survive, without even knowing how to cook for herself. I wasn't smart about my choices, and my temper didn't help. I couldn't keep a job for long, ran up credit card debt, and eventually couldn't even afford basic living expenses. Thank goodness Ethan threw an olive branch my way in time, or I would have been sleeping under a bridge or turning to crime. The car drove for half an hour and finally reached the house. Along the way, Ethan was busy dealing with work. Neither of us said a word to the other. As soon as we got out of the car, a woman came out to greet us. She looked incredibly familiar. A glance was all it took for me to recognize the woman who caused our divorce years ago, Evan's secretary, Laura Green. It was she who used schemes and tactics to drive me mad back then. 3 years later, she was even more mature and glamorous, looking even more sophisticated than I was. Laura clearly didn't know about Ethan finding me for remarriage. Her eyes flashed with surprise upon seeing me, but she concealed it well. The next second, she took Ethan's coat. "Mr. Williams, Jack has been picked up. Dinner is ready. Would you like to shower first or eat first?" Anyone would have thought she was Ethan's wife. Ethan didn't look at her, turning to me instead. "Summer, do you want to eat first or shower first?" Honestly, I didn't understand why he insisted on having Laura at the house. Maybe it was to test if I had truly changed, or maybe he simply didn't care about my feelings. I kept my eyes down. "Whatever, follow your lead. Okay then, let's take shower first. You covered in sweat?" I walked straight into the bedroom. The women's body wash I used to buy was still there, but it was expired. I threw everything into the trash and used Ethan's shampoo to wash my hair. While rinsing the soap, he walked in. Instinctively, I wanted to cover my chest, then realized I was being overdramatic. So, under Ethan's gaze, I finished showering and got dressed. He picked up the hairdryer, intending to dry my hair. "Summer," Ethan touched his nose, a little unnaturally. "Didn't you always insist I dry it for you before?" His eyes held a flicker of expectation. It's true. Before the divorce, I was very demanding. Always liked to nag and force Ethan to do everything. Sometimes he agreed, sometimes he didn't, but the result was always me pleading and coaxing him. But things were different now. I was only worried about catching a cold. I took the hairdryer and quickly dried it until it was almost dry. "It's fine, I dry it fast myself." Ignoring Ethan's slightly disappointed expression, I returned to the living room. There was the only son of him and me, Jack Williams. 3 years later, the boy had grown much taller. Before the split, I had cried and insisted on taking him with me. At that time, Jack hated me because I forbade him from eating pizza and drinking Coke. Hearing he had to follow me to a life of hardship, he immediately pushed me away. "Mom is a bad person. I don't want to go with you. I want to stay with Dad and Aunt Laura and have fun." He didn't really understand anything, but those blurted words broke my heart. Later, shivering under the covers with a high fever in a heaterless apartment, I felt fortunate that I hadn't taken Jack. If I had truly forced him to live on the street with me, I would have hated myself forever. Before I could even reach the dining table, Jack stood up abruptly. He was agitated, his lips trembling, and after a long time, he stammered out one word, "Mom." I was genuinely awkward. I didn't understand why, but I felt that being brought home in such a messy state symbolized my failure. It was as if I was saying to everyone, "Look, I'm trash. I can't survive without Ethan Williams." I forced a smile at my son and said, sit down. If you're hungry, don't be shy." The table was filled with lavish dishes: braised pork, abalone, and spare rib stew, ginseng chicken soup, and a large bottle of Coke sat in the corner. Laura, sitting nearby, sensed the strange atmosphere and quickly handed Jack a glass of water. "Jack, are you hungry? Eat up. This is Coke, your favorite thing. I specifically bought it for you." Jack immediately pushed the Coke away. "I won't drink it. Mom won't let me." My head buzzed and cold sweat broke out. For no other reason than fear. If I caused a scene, Ethan might kick me out and I would suffer again. Jack's grandfather had hereditary diabetes, and I was always afraid my son would get it too, so I strictly controlled sugary foods. Sometimes, when my in-laws spoiled him, I dared to argue with them face to face and strongly objected. Consequently, Jack hated me managing every little thing since he was little. In our social circle, I even became a notorious shrew wife, often mocked by others. Only after the divorce did I learn that I was an adopted daughter of the Smith family, and Jack did not have the potential for diabetes. Now, such control was unreasonable. I placed the glass of Coke back in front of him. "It's okay. If you want to drink it, drink it. Mom won't say anything." I forced a smile at Laura. "Sorry, Miss Green. I didn't mean to go against your wishes." Ethan's face instantly darkened. He glared at me. "Why are you apologizing to an employee?" Then he turned to Laura. "Secretary Green, if you don't have anything else to do, you can leave. I want to have a family reunion dinner." He wanted to send her away again. Laura froze in place, and only after a long time did she reluctantly leave. As she left, her scrutinizing eyes almost burned through me. I felt like I was sitting on pins and needles, starting to regret rushing to agree to remarry. With no support from my biological family and no love from Ethan, how would I live after this? The more I thought, the sweatier my hands became. Ethan reached out and touched my hand, slightly surprised. "What's wrong? Are you hot?" He quickly called a helper to adjust the room temperature. His attitude was caring and gentle. I couldn't find any words to deal with him. My mind was blank. I didn't even respond when my son talked to me. I vaguely finished dinner and quickly retreated to the bedroom. Ethan still had work to do. I went into the bathroom, trying to figure out a plan. I was genuinely bad at making money. In the first month after the divorce, I was scammed, losing the remaining $300,000 in savings. At that time, I even thought I could become a streamer or an influencer, spending money like water. In the end, all I bought was a joke. With almost no money left for food, I had to tuck my tail between my legs and go back to my parents' house. As soon as I walked in, I saw a girl sitting on the sofa. My parents were hugging her and crying. Upon asking, I found out I wasn't the biological daughter of the Smith family. My biological parents had died long ago. Overnight, I became an orphan, without a father or mother. My adoptive parents weren't kind either, especially my adoptive father. He was very displeased about my divorce from Ethan. He looked at me mockingly and said, "Summer, you truly have a poor fate. I gave you wealth, but you couldn't keep it." He's right. He gave me wealth and I couldn't keep it. If I hadn't made a scene and had obediently been a rich wife, even if the biological daughter returned, I would still have $500,000 a month in spending money and a husband everyone admired. But what now? What should I do? Should I leave? Go back to being a social pack mule again? I truly couldn't think of anything. But now, what am I supposed to do? Leave again? Go back to scraping by, dragging myself through life like a pack mule all over again? I honestly couldn't see a way forward. My mind was completely blank. I squatted on the toilet for over an hour until someone pushed the door open, interrupting my thoughts. It was Ethan, asking when we would re-register the marriage. He had changed into home clothes and must have just showered, as he smelled of the same jasmine scent as me. "Tomorrow is fine. Follow your lead," I replied. For some reason, this made him laugh. Ethan leaned down, his large hand stroking my cheek. "Summer, you're so obedient now. Did you suffer outside?" I nodded. "Yes, I suffered. Then be obedient from now on. Don't cause trouble. The three of us will live well together, okay? Yes, I'll be obedient." He lifted me in his arms and slowly walked toward the big bed, step by step, much like when we first got married. Only then, I was proud and arrogant, but now, I was cautious and timid. I let Ethan kiss and caress me, not daring to let out a single moan. He lingered all night until I cried, still unwilling to stop. Ethan kissed my neck. "I missed you, Summer. Can we never be apart again?" He had never been so gentle and affectionate, making me swoon. I bit my lip tightly, not answering. When I finally drifted off to sleep, held tightly in his embrace, a ring was quietly slipped onto my ring finger. Ethan looked at me intently. "Summer, it's good that you learned to be obedient. Don't be afraid. No one will bully you anymore." The next day, before dawn, my biological clock woke me up. I looked at the man still asleep next to me, quietly got out of bed, and went to the kitchen. The housekeeper was cooking porridge. Seeing me, she was startled, thinking something was wrong. I stood there stunned for a moment before realizing I was no longer the poor person who had to wake up early to work extra shifts. Even though I couldn't sleep, I went to sit on the sofa. Before long, Jack also woke up. He looked a little upset. Seeing me, his eyes lit up, and he immediately rushed into my arms. "Mom, why are you up so early? Do you want to take me to school?" My hand froze in midair. "No, I just couldn't sleep." "Then Mom, can you go see my teacher?" My son blinked at me. I hesitated greatly. Didn't you hate Mom going to school? Saying Mom's low EQ couldn't win over the teacher? Is something wrong? Or should Mom ask Aunt Laura? Ask her to go see your teacher. Jack looked at me in disbelief. "Mom, I just want you to go to school to hear about my studies." I smiled awkwardly. "It's okay. Whatever score you get, Mom accepts it. If I go, it might only bother the teacher." Honestly, I thought that with the current situation, I might not be able to stay in the Williams house for long. If I intervened in my son's school life now, and we divorced later, it would be difficult for Ethan to explain. I don't know if Jack understood, but I only saw him sulk away. I dozed off again on the sofa. When I opened my eyes again, Ethan was also awake. He was dressed neatly in a suit, sitting next to me. Seeing me wake up, he took out his phone. "You blocked me. Add me again. I'll transfer your living expenses." Hearing the word money, I immediately woke up. Without a second thought, I did the transaction, then changed his contact name to husband, Ethan Williams. He chuckled out loud. What's wrong? Didn't you used to save my name as my love or the cold-blooded bastard? Being so proper means you've broken up with your outside lover? He was clearly joking, but I flinched, quickly waving my hands. No, I just want to be more respectful. After all, you are my husband and my source of food and rent. Ethan's smile instantly froze on his lips. I don't know if Ethan noticed my caution. After receiving the marriage certificate again, he gave me a bank card, saying there was $1 million in it, telling me to go to the mall and shop to relieve stress. After he left, I linked the card to my phone and my heart felt heavy looking at the balance. I had never considered $1 million to be a lot of money before. Although the Smith family wasn't filthy rich, we were never short of food or clothing. After marrying Ethan, buying designer items was like going grocery shopping. Because of this, I was arrogant and prideful, demanding to leave empty-handed during the divorce. My hundreds of thousands of dollars in savings were scammed away, and I tasted enough bitterness trying to make a living. Working as a secretary, I was constantly bullied for not participating in unethical behavior. Working as a masseuse, I was harassed by a customer. I slapped him and was immediately fired. Finally, out of options, I heard delivery work paid well, so I gritted my teeth and learned to ride a motorcycle. I couldn't distinguish between the brake and the throttle, scraping my knees many times. Rushing through rain and wind, I only earned $4,000 to $5,000 a month, and often skipped meals. Now, Ethan casually gave me $1 million, an amount I couldn't earn in a lifetime. I was both angry and amused, unable to resist slapping myself. Take that for your false noble pretense, Summer. If you don't suffer, you won't know who the real boss is. I recounted the balance again. Thinking about Ethan buying cosmetics, I figured I should save some money. Even if we divorced again, having savings wouldn't leave me suffering. So I used the large $1 million to buy 1 jar of moisturizer and 2 sets of clothes, transferring the rest to a separate savings account for interest. That night, Ethan came home from work and saw me applying cream, looking slightly stunned. What are you applying? It's a great moisturizer. Want to try some? He shook his head, frowning as he looked at the table. Where are all your jars and bottles? Are they expired? Didn't I give you money? I smiled fawningly. I'm already beautiful, so anything works. I was too tired last night. I fell asleep right away. I didn't see Ethan sit at the head of the bed, watching me for half the night, his heart pricked by a needle. He remembered that when we were newly married, I had the table covered with skincare products. Foundation, lotion, lip masks, serums. Each product had a specific use. If Ethan wanted to kiss me, I would dodge. I'd whine. Wait a minute, I haven't finished my skincare? What if I get wrinkles? My sparkling eyes held the cunning look of a lively little fox. What made her lose her love for beauty? Was the money I gave her not enough? Ethan researched something outside of work for the first time, checking the card, only to find the money had been all transferred out. He silently looked at the sleeping Summer, said nothing, and transferred another $2 million into the account. Waking up the next morning, I felt something was off. It took me half a day to realize our son hadn't come home last night. I ran to ask Ethan. He was working in the study and said Jack attended a boarding school for gifted children, only coming home on weekends. I was shocked. He's only 9, and you let him stay at school? Yes, it's a specialized school for training heirs. Children of prominent families who want to take over are sent there early. Ethan saw nothing strange about it. He was the same way when he was little and didn't think Jack being at school was a problem. It was then I realized his detached nature might have been formed this way. I remembered in high school I was playful, always messing around with friends. Occasionally bumping into Ethan, he would just glance at me coldly, not saying a word. At that time, I had many suitors but liked a difficult challenge. Ethan was the target that made me the most eager. I chased him fiercely from high school to college and finally got what I wanted. It was a passive fulfillment. After marrying Ethan, I was happy every day. Seeing him happy made me happy. Being intimate with him made me happy. Having Jack made the happiness multiply. Until reality slapped me hard in the face. I took a deep breath, looked at the man in front of me, and decided not to argue. Turning to leave, Ethan said, I transferred some more money into your card. Go buy some clothes. We're having dinner at my parents' house tonight. Hearing about money again, my heart warmed up slightly. It's fine. Money makes me happy. I couldn't be sloppy when meeting my in-laws. I bought an expensive outfit, went to a professional makeup artist to get a beautiful look, and then took a taxi back to the old Williams family home. Laura had already brought Jack, and Ethan's parents were talking to the boy. As soon as I walked in, everyone paused. Ethan's mother looked at me, not as enthusiastically as I expected. She never really liked me, but because I gave birth to a son, she didn't interfere much. Now, in front of Laura, she said plainly, honestly, I don't like you as a daughter-in-law. But Ethan says the child needs his biological mother, so I didn't object to the remarriage. But you were really too arrogant before, Summer. For a wealthy family, why couldn't you talk things out behind closed doors? You had to make scenes like a shrew. Do you know how much stock of the Williams family dropped that year? Do you know Ethan was embarrassed in front of outsiders for 2 whole years? Now you're no longer the daughter of the Smith family. If you want to stay in the Williams family, you must clearly understand what you should and shouldn't do from now on. Those words were truly harsh. Ethan was about to say something, but I interrupted him. I apologized sincerely. What happened before was my fault, Mom. I understand now. I will change from now on and take good care of Ethan. My obedient appearance choked the rest of Ethan's words in his throat. The subsequent dinner was very awkward. I was silent. Ethan radiated coldness. Laura was gentle and attentive, serving food to everyone, just like the lady of the house. After dinner, as I prepared to leave, my mother-in-law told me to stay the night. Laura also stayed. I realized that during the years of divorce, Laura had successfully won my mother-in-law's affection. She always wanted Laura to be her daughter-in-law, but Ethan disagreed. Keeping Laura here was partly to annoy me, and partly because she was still hopeful and wanted to try again. She even ordered me to clean Laura's room. You are part of the family too. Preparing the guest room is what you should do. I walked into the room and immediately understood my mother-in-law's intention. A new box of condoms, the exact size Ethan used, was placed on the bedside table. I pretended not to see it and took out the sheets to clean up. Ethan walked in. I didn't know Mom would do that. It's okay. I understand. We'll sleep together tonight. Whatever you say, I replied. Finally, he got angry, grabbing my chin. Since the remarriage, I've wanted to ask Summer, why have you become like this? You wear a cold expression all day and speak sarcastically. I told you I have nothing with Laura. Why do you have to be like this? It was the same old speech, a carbon copy of 3 years ago. The fuse that led to the divorce flashed clearly in my mind. How did I discover the anomaly back then? It was one time when Ethan came home and I saw a lipstick mark on his cuff. At first, I thought it was accidental, but then someone sent a photo to my phone. The angle was very clear. Laura was pressing her lips close to Ethan's face. They were both closing their eyes, extremely intimate. I loved him so much, he was all I could see. How could I endure betrayal? I wanted to ask Ethan clearly. He impatiently told me it was a photoshopped image and told me not to believe it. I didn't want to believe it. I told him to fire Laura, and I would pretend nothing happened. What did he say then? He looked at me coldly. Summer, don't interfere with my company matters. Besides, Laura is my junior. She's not like you, born with a silver spoon. Earning money is hard for her. Do you know how difficult it is to find a job when you unilaterally cause someone to be unemployed? Later, I experienced it myself, and it was indeed very difficult. So I learned to sympathize with Laura and understood Ethan. I followed his wishes and played the role, but the result was, he wasn't happy. I suddenly felt tired, sighing as I looked at him. Ethan, what exactly do you want to say? Your mother told me to make the bed. I did. Miss Green wants to stay at the Williams house. Let her. I don't argue. I don't cause trouble, and I agree to everything you say. Now you're scolding me for my temper. Ethan was choked with anger. You're clearly giving me a face. I am not. I'm very calm. I don't believe it. Then do you want me to cut out my heart for you to see? He fell silent, turning and walking away. Because of the argument, Ethan didn't return to the bedroom all night. I don't know if he went to Laura's room or not. I only know that just as I was about to fall asleep, Jack came in, holding a blanket, timidly and cautiously. Mom, I saw Dad go into Aunt Laura's room. Can I sleep with you tonight? I opened my mouth, unable to utter a word. After a long while, I finally said, You're a big boy now, you should avoid me. You're in 3rd grade. You need to be independent." Jack's eyes were red. "But Mom, I haven't seen you for 3 years. Now that you and Dad are remarrying, you still don't care about me? You don't forbid me to drink Coke. You don't care when I get low grades. You don't even ask about me staying at boarding school. Do you not love me anymore?" Large tears rolled down, clearly in extreme distress. But I felt strangely calm inside, so calm that I could smile and pat his head. "Silly, what are you saying? No matter what, you're my son. How could Mom not love you? It's just that Mom no longer has the energy to love anyone passionately." I pushed him back to his room and tucked him in. I watched him close his eyes, and no sound came out. Just when I thought Jack was asleep, the person on the bed spoke again. "Mom, yes? Can I move back home? Listen to your dad. If he doesn't want you back, he doesn't care about you. Let me talk to Aunt Laura. Ask her to persuade your dad, okay?" Jack immediately opened his eyes wide, saying the exact words Ethan had used. Why does Aunt Laura have to ask about our family business? He looked like he was about to break down. I didn't know how to explain. I struggled to organize my words before saying, "Because both you and your dad like Aunt Laura, what she says might be more effective than me. That way, you'll achieve your goal faster." Jack froze, as if he suddenly remembered something. His eyes, which were 7/10 like mine, welled up with tears again. He put his forehead on my hand, his voice hoarse and terrifying. "Mom, do you hate me?" I heard him, but I didn't know how to answer. I just patted his blanket and lulled him to sleep. Back in the bedroom, Jack's words kept repeating in my head. "Hate? It seemed I once did. The child I desperately gave birth to, yet at a crucial moment, he chose someone else without hesitation. The chilling sensation that rose from the back of my neck was unforgettable. But later, as I had more and more troubles, that feeling gradually faded. The year of the divorce, countless people stabbed me in the heart. Besides my son and husband, there were my adoptive parents who raised me for over 20 years, and friends I had for 7 or 8 years. When my world turned upside down, they all left me at the same time. I questioned myself for a long time. Was I deeply sinful? Was I a really, really bad person, so no one liked me? I relentlessly doubted myself, yet endlessly saved myself, time after time, until I couldn't cut my wrists anymore, until I could lie to myself to keep living. Now, my world only contained a pale, weak numbness, just a low battery that allowed me to eat and sleep. This feeling was very difficult to explain to others, and even if I did, no one would listen, and no one would care. Ethan wanted an understanding wife, I gave him one. Jack wanted a mother who let him be, I gave him one. My mother-in-law wanted an obedient daughter-in-law, I gave her one too. I tried hard to cooperate with every role, yet I didn't understand why they still weren't happy. Unable to figure it out, I decided to sleep. Waking up the next morning, I noticed something was wrong. It took me half a day to react. Ethan and Laura were sitting next to each other, and Laura had a hickey on her neck. My mother-in-law's eyes were tender and sweet. "You two must be tired, right? Have something to eat." I pretended not to see, only focusing on eating my share. But someone wasn't going to let me off the hook. Ethan asked me coldly. "Summer, our home is close to the company. Laura wants to move in. What do you think?" I nodded without a second thought. "Yes, follow your lead." His face darkened even more. "Then, what if I say I want to move into our room?" "That's fine, I'll clean it up later." Ethan slammed the table with a loud bam. "Summer," his voice extremely angry. The atmosphere immediately froze, even startling his mother. I was also a little annoyed. Why can't I please this ancestor? Suddenly, it dawned on me. He wants a divorce again, doesn't he? I agree, I said. After all, I had $3 million in my hand. I wasn't afraid. Ethan looked at me for a long time, his eyes turning red. He grabbed me. The car sped straight to the company. The driver didn't dare to breathe heavily. At the company, he took me straight to the HR department. Ethan told the HR director, "Fire Laura Green immediately. Expedite the procedure as much as possible." Before I could recover, he carried me into his office. The door wasn't closed. The hallway was full of employees. Ethan didn't care. He ripped my shirt. "Summer, what exactly do I have to do to make you happy?" I obediently raised my neck, letting him take off my jacket. A male programmer happened to walk by, gasping sharply. That sound woke Ethan up. He walked to the door, slammed it shut with a bam, and then turned back to continue ripping off my dress. Since we remarried, I've always felt something was wrong. Although we've been intimate and you agree to everything I say, you almost never smile, and when you do, it's forced. Our son clearly complains about school, and you don't even frown. You loved him the most since he was little. When he scratched himself, you would hug him and cry endlessly. And me, as long as there was another woman nearby, you would make a scene. You would get jealous, you would hit me, you would scold me, crying and clinging to me, saying you were mine. Summer, you were supposed to be like that. Why are you like this now? Ethan trembled all over, his voice choked with emotion. I was thinking, so, firing Laura was that easy? My lips parted and closed. Finally, I said the words, "You shouldn't fire Laura Green. She's your junior. She's not like me, born with a silver spoon. Earning money is very difficult." Ethan stiffened, looking up, his eyes moist. He laughed bitterly. 3 years later, you still remember that sentence? I nodded. Yes, you were right, so I remember. When I had a high fever in the rental room, my body aching all over, the image of Ethan coldly scolding me kept flashing in my mind. How noble he was. For the sake of righteousness, he allowed a cunning woman to provoke me again and again. In the end, he sided with her, blaming me for overreacting and causing trouble. How could I not hate him? I thought I had warmed that cold stone. I thought he saw me as his wife. I never thought he could be a fair arbiter, judging me the loser. Now, I was sensible and timely, no longer confronting Ethan. But Ethan wasn't as happy as I thought. On the contrary, he looked like he was about to burst into tears. Laura was ultimately not fired. She was transferred to a branch company. Before leaving, she asked to meet me. After 3 years, we sat facing each other again. She wasn't as radiant as before, but still very beautiful. Seeing me without makeup, she narrowed her eyes mockingly. I wondered why Ethan was so desperate to fire me. Turns out someone has smartened up using the suffering strategy. Don't think just because you look like this now, making men pity you, you've won. Ethan is so rich. Without me, plenty of women would rush to him. She continued, "You've been a failure your whole life. Years ago, your husband and son sided with me. Now you've remarried and returned to the Williams house, and I can still come and go as I please." She didn't even know that she wasn't fired because I begged for her. I no longer had the energy to fight. I just looked at her faintly. If you're so confident, why haven't you been able to step into that house after 3 years of divorce? Laura's face changed. Because Ethan isn't stupid. He saw through your calculations. Your tactics weren't clever, deliberately leaving lipstick on his cuff, deliberately sending me AI-generated photos. It was all to force me to make a scene with Ethan. Ethan used this as a proxy to kill me, just wanting to teach me a lesson and make me more obedient. Laura stared in astonishment. You knew all along? Then why did you still divorce? I laughed bitterly, because I thought Ethan loved me. My family's background was good, and the only hardship I ever endured since childhood was chasing Ethan. I chased him for 5 years, and after marriage, we lived together for 5 years. Although we were intimate and had a child, he was always so indifferent to me that it was impossible to guess what was in his heart. I kept asking, and he refused to say. So, when you appeared, I was actually a little excited. I thought I finally had a chance to know what he truly felt. I didn't expect the result to be what I got, but not what I wanted. Ethan doesn't hate me, nor does he love me. He married me for a business alliance. He disciplined me to make me sensible. All his starting points were for his own comfort, and I just happened to be in the right position as the wife. I looked at Laura. I actually admire you a lot for nothing else but your vitality. You went through all that, and you still have the energy to come here and fight with me. That courage, I truly respect. If I had the capability, I would definitely fight you 300 rounds, fighting until one of us was completely ruined. But 3 years ago, I lost too miserably. I don't have any strength left. Now I can only look at you and smile, unable to say anything more. Ms. Green, perhaps you're right. Life is long, and Ethan will have others. I no longer dream of living with him forever, and I don't even plan to gain anything from the Williams family. I just think that if I have some money, I won't have to work like a dog anymore, and that's good enough. Laura looked at me with a strange expression for a long time before speaking. I never thought my opponent would be such a fragile chicken. I shrugged. Yes, so don't be discouraged. Keep trying. Maybe one day Ethan will be yours, and you'll get a big son thrown in as a bonus. She said nothing else, her eyes fixed on something behind me. Instinctively, I turned my head. Not far away, Ethan was holding Jack's hand. They had heard everything. I thought the two of them would argue with me fiercely, but they hadn't come home late that night. I figured that causing such a scene must mean another divorce was imminent, so I packed a few things. I waited in the living room until after 11 p.m. before finally hearing the door open. Jack Williams was helping a heavily drunk Ethan Williams stumble into the house. Both had red eyes, especially Jack, who burst into tears the moment he saw the luggage on the floor. "Mom, where are you going?" Ethan also cried out. "Honey, please don't leave." For a moment, I didn't know who to comfort first. I helped the drunk man onto the sofa and told Jack to go to bed first. The boy clung tightly to my clothes and refused to let go. "I'm not going. Mom, I want to come with you." I let him trail behind me. After giving Ethan some honey water, he hugged me and cried uncontrollably. "Summer, I missed you so much. For 3 years, I thought about you every day. But then I remembered you were the one who demanded the divorce, and I got angry, trying to hold back from checking on you. I finally found an excuse to remarry, and yet you tried to push me toward another woman. You truly are heartless. Wife, please don't be like this. I feel terrible. Could you just hit me? It was my fault." Ethan then said, "I love you." It felt strange. The words I had waited 10 years for now sounded as light as the passing wind. I felt no emotion at all. Ethan, completely drunk, quickly fell asleep. Jack started crying. "Mom, I was wrong. I shouldn't have listened to Aunt Laura just for some snacks and said those things. I don't like Coke, and I don't like fried chicken. I don't need anything. I only need you. Mom, please don't treat me this way." The boy was covered in snot and tears, gripping my hand tightly. I said nothing. I waited until both of them were sound asleep before taking out the pre-signed divorce agreement, grabbing my bag, and returning to my rental room. The truth is, I hold a very long grudge. Before, I thought if I remarried, we could just live together indifferently, acting for the sake of money. But now that everything had been laid bare with person after person demanding my affection, I truly couldn't act anymore. After I left, Ethan didn't message me for days. It wasn't until our son was hospitalized with influenza A that I went to visit and found him in the hospital room. Ethan had reverted to his usual cold demeanor. "Summer, I've transferred $5 million to your account. That should be enough for you to live on. Let's get a divorce." I didn't ask for a reason, didn't argue, and didn't make a scene. I went directly to finalize the procedure with him. As we walked out of the Civic Affairs Bureau, Ethan gave a bitter smile. I thought you would at least get angry. I even imagined you would slap me twice and call me a heartless maniac for treating marriage like a game. I could have held you, kneeled down, and begged you not to divorce, saying I was wrong and we'd live properly together. But you just smiled happily at me, and I knew I couldn't keep you anymore. Ethan wiped his face, his eyes gazing at me gently, filled with an intensity I had never seen before. "Summer, did I ever tell you that I always loved it when you caused a scene? Back then, my parents said I should marry for the family. In truth, there was someone else more suitable. But I thought if I couldn't spend my life with you, then what was the point of living? I didn't understand that was love at the time, and now that I do, I've hurt you so badly." He stroked my hair. "You often cried at night, convulsing and mumbling my name and our son's name in your sleep. I went to the doctor and he said your heart had issues, that your emotions were severely damaged. I don't dare trap you in that house anymore, so I'll set you free. From now on, let me be the one to pursue you, make you laugh, and give you love, okay?" I hadn't realized I was crying at night, nor that he had gone to see a doctor. I nodded blankly, then turned and walked away. From that day on, Ethan truly messaged me every day, from the trivial details of our son's life to the major strategies of his company. Everything I had always wanted to know before, he now told me patiently. He even transferred our son to a partial boarding school. Whenever he wasn't busy with the company, he took Jack out to play and cooked for him, looking exactly like a good father. I, however, paid little attention. My mind was set on moving to a low-cost region to live now that I had some money. I was tired of breathing the fumes of the big city. Before leaving, I only sent a message to Jack, urging him to study hard and be dutiful to his father when he grew up. As for his mother, he should let her fade away into the world. It was the 5th year since Summer Williams disappeared. Ethan's mother started pressuring him to remarry again. Ethan let the advice go in one ear and out the other, preoccupied with plans to take his son to the museum that weekend. He heard there was a newly imported exhibit of Thai ethnic traditions with impressive visual effects. Early Saturday morning, the moment he arrived, he saw a familiar figure standing beneath one of the artworks. 5 years later, Summer's spirit and complexion were much better. Her eyes held a new light. Though still without makeup, her entire demeanor exuded a gentle quality that moved him deeply. Ethan staggered forward. He wanted to call out to her but was afraid of upsetting her. Just as he was about to step closer, someone patted his shoulder. Jack, tall and sturdy like an ox, looked at his CEO father with surprise. "Dad, what's wrong?" Following his father's gaze, he too was stunned. Jack looked like he was about to cry. "Dad, is that Mom?" Ethan nodded. "Yes, Mom looks so beautiful. Is her illness cured? It must be. She's been recuperating for so long. Then let's go meet her, okay?" Just as the two were about to move, someone was faster than them. A man holding a 3-year-old girl toddled toward her. "Honey, my wife! I'm here with our daughter. I missed you to death." The man gave Summer a loud kiss on the cheek. Summer's face flushed bright red. "Can you stop being so dramatic? People are watching." Mark Phillips didn't care. "My wife is so wonderful. Why should I hide her? I want the whole world to know you're mine." Okay. Mr. CEO Phillips, can we go inside? It's your cooperative project. You should pay attention. "Your wish is my command," he said, following his wife's lead. His large hand wrapped around her waist. Just as Summer was about to enter the exhibition area, she turned around and saw 2 figures standing motionless not far away, looking in their direction. Ethan and Jack stood up straighter, thinking she would stop and ask about them. However, Summer only gave a slight nod as if they were strangers. She then walked into the exhibit with the little girl. The father and son stood frozen for a long while before remembering they should follow, but upon entering they found the exhibit had a VIP room for special guests and no entry was allowed without an appointment. Ethan was utterly defeated, his eyes full of despair. He never expected Summer to marry someone else. He was even more shocked that she had a child. "I was in the VIP room for quite a while, still thinking about Jack. Mark noticed my distraction and turned to ask, 'What's wrong? Did you see your ex-husband and son? Do you want to meet them? We still have 5 hours before we leave.' No need. If we meet, we'll just have to separate again. It's better not to meet at all. They've managed fine all these years, with or without me. I cleared my mind and focused on playing with my daughter." The little girl's adorable face rubbed against my neck, calling, "Mommy, Mommy," incredibly sweetly. I couldn't help but laugh. Love is too rare to be wasted. This small rose, which I struggled so hard to obtain, I must cherish and love with all my heart.